How Rocks D. Xebec has influenced all 5 emperors, plus other One Piece news. Rocks D. Xebec was said to be so formidable that it took Gold Roger and Monkey D. Garp fighting together to defeat him. The man was a monster. But in my opinion, what made him even more dangerous was the knowledge he possessed. Taboo subjects of the world. Rocks was said to have dabbled with information that the world government had prohibited anyone from accessing. This might very well be the poneglyphs. Rocks probably had some means to read the poneglyphs, allowing him to learn parts of the ancient history. This was probably the way he came to know of the existence of the king of the world. He sought to overthrow the celestial dragons, and by extension Sama, and usurp the position for himself. Being a part of the Rocks Pirates could have been how Big Mom and Kaido came to know of the road poneglyphs and their importance. It is still unclear as to how one would come to know of its importance/existence, so it would make sense. God Valley. 38 years ago, in the island of God Valley, Garp and Roger teamed up to curb the uprising of the Rocks Pirates. Rocks had come to the island to kill the celestial dragons gathered there on that day. Here's what Sengoku had to say. An island whose existence the world government desired very much to keep a secret had vanished. This implies to me that the world government was covering up the identity of the island even before the incident. It's fair to assume the government buster called the island after the incident. But why did they try to cover it up before? I think the island housed the final dragon egg. It makes sense. The celestial dragons would gather there to try to acquire it, due to their infatuation for dragons. They call themselves dragons. Their symbol is the hoof of a dragon. They ordered Vegapunk to create artificial dragons. The artificial devil fruit created by Vegapunk was one of the dragon. Would explain the giant egg on Roger's ship. Maybe Roger took the egg after beating Rocks. Maybe that dragon is guarding Laugh-Tail or something. Impact of Rocks on all the 5 emperors. 1. Whitebeard. Whitebeard doesn't seem to be the type of guy who would associate with someone as wild and cruel like Rocks. But he did. I think this was because he was using the treasure he was obtaining to fund the livelihood of the people of Sphinx Island. Marco told Nekomamushi that Newgate did some shady shit to provide for the people in his homeland. Maybe associating with Rocks and doing his bidding might be that shady shit. Whitebeard also understood what a pirate shouldn't be from Rocks. He is everything Rocks isn't. 2. Big MOM. The Rocks Pirates would have essentially been Lean's child delivery place honestly. It's not far-fetched to say Paraspero, Katakuri, Oven and Daifuku were born in the Rocks Pirate ship. 3. Kaido. Rocks Pirates were the ones who essentially taught Kaido the ways of a pirate as he was just an apprentice on Rocks' ship. Kaido doesn't seem to mind infighting in his crew as long as he gets what he wants. This could be a shadow of a trait he picked up during his time in the Rocks Pirates, as we know that the Rocks Pirates were famous for infighting. 4. Blackbeard. Here's where it gets interesting. Blackbeard has undeniable similarities to Rocks. Their general character, Blackbeard's ship being called the Saber of Xebec, and the Beehive Island stuff. Blackbeard is said to have a great interest in historical research. Maybe during one of his researches, he came across this tale of a monster called Rocks D. Xebec and was immediately captivated. Like Luffy is the carrier of Roger's will, Blackbeard is the carrier of the will of Roger's greatest foe, Rocks. Maybe Rocks was the previous user of the Yami Yami no Mi and Teach upon discovering this, set sail on Whitebeard's ship to search for this fruit. 5. Shanks. I, like many others, have a feeling Shanks might be Rocks D. Xebec's son. Shanks is 39, so during the incident at God Valley, he would have been 1 year old. Rocks left behind an infant in God Valley, and Roger took him under his wing. Whitebeard tells Shanks that the scar he received from that guy aches when he sees him. That guy, in my opinion, is Rocks. Since the crew was prone to infighting, Rocks could have had an altercation with Whitebeard. But at the same time, you could argue that Shanks is not Xebec's son. If he was, then he would be a carrier of the will of D. If Shanks carried the D initial, why didn't Roger entrust the future to Shanks, i.e., put him in the path to become Pirate King, and instead wanted to have a child? Roger wanted to have a baby to pass on the D initial, so that he could birth a D to become the Pirate King. If Shanks carried the will of D, then why didn't Roger think Shanks, who he essentially raised, was going to be the Pirate King? Shanks might or might not be Rock's son. He is a wild card. Oda has already foreshadowed Zoro vs Shiryu fight. I just recently rewatched the Zoro vs Des Bones fight and saw this particularly interesting flashback, and this theory just hit me. Zoro gets a flashback of his sensei telling him that there are swordsmen in this world who can cut nothing. Then it shows Zoro in present day saying to himself to be able to cut nothing. Does that mean to know the breadth of things? He then proceeds to defeat Des Bones, who asks Zoro if he's going to cut Diamond next, and Zoro says that would be a waste. This is what sparked all those theories that Shiryu of the Rain would somehow get Josu's diamond fruit and fight Zoro in the future. Now you know that Shiryu got Absalom's Suk no Mi and can now turn invisible. Most people were complaining why Oda gave Shiryu such a weak devil fruit. In fact, even if invisible, he can still be discovered by anyone with observation haki. Now, looking at that flashback with Zoro-sensei, I think I know why Oda decided to give Shiryu that particular devil fruit. The Suk no Mi gives him the ability to turn himself and anything he touches invisible, and its awakening has to be, I think, to be able to turn him into nothingness. I know this is a bit weird, but I believe the next level of invisibility is to become nothing. Zoro will not be able to sense him at all even with observation haki. Shiryu will become nothing itself, and that will be Zoro's true test, which is to be able to cut nothing just like his sensei said in that flashback way back in Alabasta. I'm telling you that this has to be why Oda gave Shiryu the invisible fruit in particular out of anything else. It will be a very tough fight for Zoro, but he has to pull through somehow. That's all. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.